In this video, we're going to be looking at how to use the circle of fifths to identify key signatures once again, as well as looking for a shortcut to speed up this process, only we're going to be doing this with flat keys rather than sharp keys from the previous video. So the first thing to do is identify whether our key signature based on the starting note of the scale is going to use flats. And the easiest way to identify this is that the starting note of the scale is always going to have a flat in the name of the pitch. There is one exception to this, that being the key of F major. F major is the only flat key that doesn't actually contain a flat in the first note of the scale. Now, we're going to use the circle of fifths approach and then look at the shortcut second, just as we did with sharp keys. Now, the key when using the circle of fifths is to once again start on middle C and count backward down perfect fifths in order to see how many perfect fifths and therefore how many flats we need to go or between C and, in this case, D flat major. So if we count backward C, B, A, G, F, we can see that F major, as we have discussed before, is the only flat key that does not have a flat in the name of the pitch itself. If we count down from F, F, E, D, C, B flat has two flats. If we count backward from B flat, A, G, F, E flat would have three flats. Then count backward from E flat, D, C, B, A flat would have four flats, and we can see if we count backward from A flat, G, F, E, D flat, and we can see from middle C all the way down to D flat, we have counted backward through five perfect fifths, and therefore D flat major is expected to have five flats. Now, if we remember, the order of our flats is just the order of sharps backward, battle ends, and down goes Charles' father. We can see that the first five flats of the key signature would be the five flats found in D flat major, and those would be B flat, E flat, A flat, D flat, and G flat. And then the last stage is simply to write the pitches of the scale starting on D flat. Let's just use middle line D flat in the bass clef, and the starting pitch of D flat is around here. Do. And again, it's good practice to sing the scale as we count up just to get the right number of pitches. Do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do. And we have our D flat major scale. Now, the shortcut. Let's see whether we can speed up this process, as this can take quite long if the key signature has a large number of sharps or flats. So in the shortcut method for sharps, what we did is we started at the clef and went all the way to the right, but in this case we don't want to do exactly that. We want to go to the right and find the second last flat in the key signature. In other words, we want to start at the clef and go all the way to the right, but not to the last flat or rightmost flat. We want to go to the second from the rightmost flat, which in this case is, as we can see in the key signature, D flat. If you have done this, you have successfully identified what do is, or what the starting note of the scale is that uses this key signature. So as mentioned in the previous video, finding the starting pitch of a flat key is even easier to do than with a sharp key. The last thing to discuss is, what about going in reverse? What about if we know what the starting note is? In this case, E flat is our starting note, and we want to find out what the key signature is from this starting note. Well, if we remember our shortcut method of finding the second last flat, and that is our starting note of the scale, we now know what our second last flat in the key signature is going to be. In this case, we are in E flat major, so E flat major is our, or E flat rather, is our second last flat. And then if we use the order of flats, battle ends and down goes Charles' father. If we know that E flat is the second last flat, therefore we know that A flat must be the last flat in the key signature, and therefore the key signature of E flat major, or the E flat major scale, will have B flat, E flat, and A flat, or if we write them in the bass clef, B flat, E flat, and A flat like this, and we can see significantly faster than using the circle of fifths method. But just to show that both methods work equally well, we can try the circle of fifths method. So counting backward from C, our goal is to get to E flat. So C, B, A, G, F major has one flat. Count backward from F. F, E, D, C, B flat major has two flats. And finally, backward from B flat, A, G, F, E flat, and we can see going from C to E flat had us descend three perfect fifths, and therefore we would expect E flat major to have three flats, which is exactly as what our shortcut has shown. This concludes our series on what the circle of fifths is and using the circle of fifths to identify key signatures and the starting pitch of major scales. To test whether all of this knowledge is applicable to you, try the practice problems below, which starts off relatively simply by looking at a key signature and identifying what the starting pitch or what the scale is based on that key signature, and then goes through seeing whether you can do this regardless of the number of flats or sharps within a key signature.